All right, welcome everybody to the Grand Forks City Council meeting for Monday, June 16th. If you're ready for a roll call, please, Maureen.
All right. Weigel.
Here.
Sowski. Here. Berg.
Here.
Lunsky. Here. Friedels.
Here.
Sandy. And Veen.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 1.2, Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, item 1.3, Mayor's announcements. I have one announcement today. Well, first of all, I hope everyone has a happy 4th of July, but believe it or not, Waste Management will be out, so the recycling, if you're on the July 4th pickup route, your recycling will get picked up, but if you're on the garbage route, it'll go out the day before, so get your garbage out. If that's your day Friday, get it out on Thursday, and they will pick it up on the 3rd, and you can have a good Independence Day. So that's all I got for Mayor's announcements. Move on to 2, awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations.
2.1 Air Service Expansion Update.
Thank you, Mr. Phelan.
Mayor Buczynski, members of City Council, I'm hoping eventually our team from the Meehan Aviation Group show up, but until they do, I did get a briefing. They have attended some airline conferences recently, and they've arranged, number one, a SkyWest trip in July here, and then they are working on a United Airlines trip in August. And there was also conversations with Delta regarding various service options in that vein too. So there's been a lot of progress that's been made, and I wanted, based on my briefing, I think I see Sonia on right now from the Meehan Aviation Group. I wanted them to provide an update. I think, number one, you should feel very good about what the City of Grand Forks has done. I think the whole hiring of the Meehan Aviation Group, moving forward with the air service grant, the business development engagement that we have done has really proven fruitful. And it does provide some satisfaction as we worked on this over the last year. There were many that said, we're going too fast, too soon, too whatever, and or it'll never work. Okay, so lots of positive vibes. The point is we have made significant progress. And the only thing I would encourage you, based upon the briefings that I've received, is that the City of Grand Forks cannot let go of the commercial air service implementation and action plan. We cannot let go of some of the business development aspects of the airport. So I think without the city believing that this could be effective, we wouldn't be where we are today. And now we're at such a critical time where our consultant team has built rapport with the airlines. They've built some trust. They've built some, we can do this. We want to make sure as we move through here in the next several months that we don't let this go. Because I think if we do, it'll go back to where it was before, which is it's too much of everything, and it's more of a negative processes. And I think we should I always point to the Alaris Center. So if you were here in 2016, the City of Grand Forks, in this case, was running the Alaris Center. And prior to that, we had a management group that operated it. And I would say the city was close to the mentality of having the Alaris Center. This is as good as it gets. That we can't compete, we can't bring in concerts, we can't do certain things. But instead of being comfortable with that's the end of the end, that group, the City of Grand Forks encouraged a third-party RFP to move forward. Eventually, we hired Spectra. That's has evolved into OVG, and look at how we're performing. Look at how we're competing, and I think we're in a similar vein with our airport. That let's never expect less than what we can be, and I think that's why I really wanted to have Sonia and Zoe here on behalf of the Meehan Aviation Group, give you an update and be here for any Q&A that you may have regarding the process. I know they were on a recent trip. I know Mr. Riesinger from the Airport Authority also attended, along with Mr. Lund from the Grand Forks Region Economic Development Corporation. So with that, Mayor, I'd hand it over to Sonia to provide you an update.
All right, thank you. Ms. Murray, please.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Hi, City Council members. Thank you very much for your time. I'm going to give you a very brief update, and then if you have questions, please just jump in. But we just attended an annual industry event called Jumpstart. It's focused on air service development, specifically just this subject matter, for airports and airlines to meet, to discuss air service activity, airport marketing, commercial flying, etc. So we led this participation for Grand Forks. We said, you've got to go to Jumpstart, and you've got to go to, there's another very similar conference like it in the fall. So they're about 6 months apart, because you have to keep in touch with the carriers. This industry that we're in is highly dynamic and volatile, and one quarter can make a big change. So you need to be checking in, you need to be engaged, and as many of you who have a business development hat on knows, you need to have relationships and keep those going, right? So we met with 5 airlines, 2 incumbents, Delta and Allegiant, and 3 non-incumbent carriers, including United, SkyWest, and Frontier. And overall, the event was a very effective use of time, and it yielded some very highly positive interactions that we had between the city, airport, and the airlines. So it's really, in our opinion, further reinforcing the effort that the city is making, this aggressive effort to try to, get to our ultimate goal to expand air service. We know we're headed in the right direction. The 2 biggest goals that have been in play for the last 14 months of effort with the city and the airport are restarting a 4th daily flight by Delta so passengers can hit the 4 banks at Minneapolis, have a much more efficient flight time, get in and out quicker, have a 45-minute to an hour connection both ways all day long so you can get where you got to go. And so we're still working on that. And then of course, the second and sort of larger goal is to get another hub market, right? So we'd like to try to get nonstop service to Denver on United SkyWest. And so we had extremely productive conversations with both United and SkyWest separately. And we are planning to meet both at headquarters, 2 separate headquarter visits over the summer in the next couple of months to present the business case for Grand Forks, the compelling argument for why they should start this service right now, why we're number 1 on the list. And we're preparing for that. And they know that Grand Forks is also a recipient of the Small Community or Service Development Grant, which of course helps everything. However, it doesn't guarantee one thing. And we will be back after those meetings with another update on that progress. We also spoke to the incumbent carrier I mentioned to you, Allegiant, and I just wanted to give you a quick update, with the economic headwinds of the last 4 or 5 months and with volatility and sort of the unknown sort of elements that have come into the economy. Canadian traffic has been down everywhere, at the border crossings, also air travel wise, month over month. And there's no exception with North Dakota, right? So Allegiant definitely has been feeling that impact. They shared with us all over their system. They serve 10 points across the U.S. right along the border. Grand Forks is one of them, and everybody's down 20 to 30%. The East Coast is down even more. And so they're seeing it leveling out. They're seeing it stabilizing. They're not really seeing it do anything more at this point, but they wanted to give us sort of their experience, what's been happening to them. And in the next couple of months, by the end of July, they're also going to be making a decision about whether they come back in and serve Orlando, Sanford next February, which they consider their winter season. So we're pushing hard to try to make sure that does come back. On a positive note, Las Vegas and Phoenix have been extremely strong, and they added more frequency, and they are thinking about seriously doing that again next spring of 26. So with that, that's sort of the very 35,000-foot overview of what's happened. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Murray? I got one. If you let me to go first. Any other questions? Well, give us a sense. Obviously, you've been working for the city a year, 18 months now. this is a positive meeting, I guess. How did these meetings go in the past when the airport authority went to these different conferences, when they were going to airline headquarters meetings? What were they being told, or what do you get a sense of what was happening in the past versus today, so we can be positive that we're heading in the right direction?
Well, I can't speak to what has happened in the past before us. I'm not sure about attendance at these conferences. What I can tell you is that we've been to 3 on behalf of the city of Grand Forks, and this past one has led to action that's very short term. We're going to meet at headquarters. They're very receptive to hearing about the business case, United and SkyWest, for what 3 times a day to a hub service looks like. When you forecast the revenue, the passengers, and the load factors, right? And so that's huge progress. We're also going to be talking to them about a really unique and interesting business landscape that requires quite a bit of air travel, and it's only growing short-term, mid-term, and long-term. And they're interested in hearing that, right? And then and that's exciting to come out of 2-3 days of meetings where you have another date that you're going to be setting with the carriers because they want you to come and talk to them. And the same with Delta, they are interested in hearing and understanding more about the businesses that are here because it's, it is unique. They are not trying to promote themselves, yet they do require a lot of air travel. And it is beyond the time that we should be getting back the 4th flight. We're not even asking for the 5th flight, which we had pre-COVID, right? Daily flight. I'm talking daily, sorry. And they're interested, they're engaged, they want to further the conversation, which has been a more positive reception than it's been in the last 14 months that we've been doing this. So I can just tell you that when you come away with, I want you to send me an email, and we're going to set up a time that we're going to continue to talk about this. And please send me what you've shown me. These are the discussions that are very that make it very exciting for us to know that we're heading in the right direction with more progress, more development.
Sounds great. Well, more to come. We'll be waiting anxiously to get that 4th flight, and then obviously that service to Denver, and more to come. So happy to hear that. Any comments? All right. Thank you, Ms. Murray. Thank you, Mr. Phelan.
Thank you, City Council. Thank you, Mayor. Good night.
Moving on to 2.2, Grand Forks Public Library Annual Report.
Ms. Wint, are you out there? There you are.
I'm rusty at this. It's been a year. So in front of you, you'll see our annual report, which is the blue report. And I'll begin by talking about that. We've had an amazing year, and so far this 2025 is even busier and even more creative and fun. So we've had on the front of the opening page, there are 10 highlights of the past year. One, we've received numerous donations, which we appreciate and are able to use them primarily for programming, but also for materials and other projects at the library. We were honored as the Group Volunteer of the Year by the North Dakota Long-Term Care Association. And our Children's Assistant Director was selected as an ALA Emerging Leader. There are only 40 a year across the country selected, so we are very proud of her and know that she is going to make a name for herself in the library world. We had several long-term members retire, And I think some of you may know that we've had for a long time some very long-term members. And I am the longest term, or the oldest employee left. So that's a new feeling for me, and I'm not real crazy about it. I'm looking to hire some older folks. The biggest thing we try to do is have, first of all, our most important mission is to make sure that people can read and children continue to read over the summer so that they avoid the summer slump. It's just well known that if kids, they get off school and then stop reading and then try to pick up again in September, and it's just a struggle. So we try to keep them reading, we try to keep it fun, and those children who do keep reading over the summer statistics show that they do much better in school. So that's the most important thing we do. We also want to make sure that adults can read, and we also want to make sure that new Americans can read and can also have a place to practice English with us and with others. So that's a program we're looking at implementing this fall. And then on the second document that we have, on the second document, we had we're going to quarterly booklets about the programs the library is offering. But we had no idea how much demand there would be for them, so we're out of them. So now we're just printing monthly on our copy machine. So you've got a copy of June's events for all ages at the library. And I just wanted to point out, we have all kinds of workshops and camps for kids, teens, and adults. And registration is open now. Some have filled up completely. For instance, we have a 3D printing camp, and that is completely filled up. But the Volts and Jolts, the electricity and magnetism workshop for ages 12 to 15, still a little bit of room. So we've got all kinds of summer events. We've got Camp Will, which is Shakespeare. We've got a Shakespeare camp. This will be our 4th year with the Shakespeare camp at the library. But we also have for adults, watercolor painting class, the numerous book clubs, all kinds of things. And then what we do is try to pull resources together too. So our coffee and conversation once a month, nonprofit organizations from around this city and county come and meet at the library. They set up tables. We provide the coffee, and to be honest, our generous coffee shops in town donate the coffee. But we try to match community members with services that are offered in the community. And so they meet at the library once a month, and that is also very popular. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you for the report. Any questions? We'll start with Ms. Oselski, please.
Yeah, do you guys happen to have a breakdown of, like, how much you're spending on each one of your programs?
On each one, we don't. We have a programming budget. Some of our programs, we spend zero.
Okay.
We have speakers, especially like we have a finance series, and that a lot of times it's people in the finance field who come in and present. They don't advertise, but, it says where they are from. So we get speakers for free, and some speakers are not free. Some of our summer programs for the kids, we have that little dance party where we have a DJ, and he volunteers his time. He's a big library supporter, and the kids love that. So a lot of them are free. If they're not free, a lot of times our Friends of the Library will cover the expense. For instance, our Music and Mocktails event, the Friends of the Library pays for that entirely and pays for the trophy.
Okay, you talked about implementing a new program this fall for First Americans. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you're kind of planning to do with that, and maybe how much of your budget you're planning on spending on that?
That will cost nothing of
Okay.
our budget. That's a volunteer came and was very interested in doing that. And we have done something similar a few years ago, and it didn't really get off the ground. But this volunteer was very enthusiastic, and so we're going to try it again. We do want to have we do want people to have the opportunity to practice their English skills, regardless, what their native language is.
Right. I'm looking at your website right now, and you guys have a whole page dedicated to New Americans, where you offer typing courses, North Dakota driving tests, all sorts of language courses. You also have on here on about how to become a U.S. citizen. So I guess I'm kind of wondering how much of your budget is going towards all of these different programs for New Americans. And also, are these courses available to everybody?
Yeah.
Because they're only listed under the New Americans tab.
Right. They are all available to everybody, and it is a variety of databases, many of which are provided by the state library. But they have a variety of courses, from computer classes to preparing for your GED to, everything you could think of. And languages are just one component.
I guess I would like to see it, if you are offering these services to everybody in our community, that you put that out there and not just have it listed under New Americans. And then just an FYI, if you click on citizenship and U.S. citizenship and immigration services, it takes you to the U.S. Immigration and services on how to voluntarily self-deport. So, I have nothing against that, but I just found that kind of interesting. I would like to know how much of your budget you're actually spending on this, because I do feel that New Americans within our community, that the percent of them is pretty low. And I hate to see people continuously spend money on such a low portion of our population when 95% of us are Americans, and we could utilize our tax dollars and utilize some of these services for ourselves. So I would really like to see that this is not just under immigration, under
And
here.
I will verify that, but please know that our databases hold hundreds of resources. And so that links to that part, but on another part of our website, it could link to like GED exams,
I guess I didn't see that, but that's
Right,
great to know.
right.
I also have another question. What is a adult novelty book box, and what type of novelties are you sending home in these book boxes that people get to keep to help them enjoy the book?
So that is a project funded by our Friends of the Library. So the actual library doesn't pay anything. We do get the book back. We do purchase the book, and we get the book and the box back. The little novelties the Friends of the Library buys, and it is trinkets, like a pencil with an eraser on it that may relate to the theme. Like if it's, an airplane story, then there'd be maybe a little airplane eraser on it. That kind of thing. But the Friends of the Library funds that, and it's only, and I think from there, what they fund, and they select them, but it's related to the book. So they just get to keep those little trinkets.
Okay, and how do you guys verify that people are these different ages? I mean, it shows every week that you have different activities, even for children, 13 to 18. Certain things are just for adults. I'm wondering how you go about verifying the ages of all these people to make sure that, they are getting the appropriate material.
Right. We ask them, and it's a small group. Usually, it's 8 to 10 people that are allowed into some of these programs. And then, so they self-select, and then we ask them. But for, say, children's programming, they come with their parents. So everybody is welcome at those programs because they're, public.
Do you ever have to turn people away for not coming with their parents then?
Actually, what we do, you have to be 8 or older to attend without your parent for a program. Otherwise, the parents must be with them, or guardian, or, if it's the nanny, that's fine. But children can't be unaccompanied in the library. And if we find that they are and we can't find their person, their grown-up, we have to call the police for child safety.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? What's the punishment for the library board president being late to the annual report? Someone should build an underpass under that thing one of these days. I don't know.
Somebody should get on that.
Yeah, I think so.
Right?
Well, any other questions for Ms. Winter? Mr. Short, Tricia, are you the library board
She is.
designee for the, okay, let's go to, I was going to give her a chance if she wanted to mention anything from the board, but I'll start with you and I'll let you close, okay? So Ms. Berg, please go first and then Ms.
I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment. I want to just thank you guys for the variety of programming that you guys put on. I'm able to attend for work or personal, and it's so awesome to see all the different things for children and adults. My sister-in-law loves the Pints and Pages book club. There's something for everyone, and in the different links that you had on your website, you also have a program proposal. And so if there's something that someone wants to create, it sounds like you guys are really open to exploring and supporting just the wonderful world of reading and learning.
Learning. Because if anybody knows how to repair bikes, I would love to have a bicycle repair workshop, because I don't have a clue.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Lunsky, any comments as our
I think
Councilmember?
my favorite thing is last night, for example, I went to your website, I entered a book at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock this morning. I got an email that's ready for pickup. So I always appreciate all your services.
Well, thank you. I don't want to go too much longer because I think we have some books that haven't been returned yet, and I don't want to get in trouble for that.
And I wanted to
Mr.
just say one
Sherwood,
thing.
please.
Did I see on the Facebook that you were going to be a guest reader for the Little Red?
Yes, I'll be
School
there
bus?
Wednesday night at the end of this month.
And I immediately thought of
Wonderful.
a Dr. Seuss quote that I wanted to share with
All
everybody
right,
here.
let's
For
hear
our
it.
mayor, you're never too old, too wacky, too wild to pick up a book and read to a child. So please, continue to do so. Children become readers in the laps of their parents, right? And we have the books for them to do it. And
I
the
take
mayor's
that
gonna
as
be
a
reading-
compliment, so thank you very much.
Absolutely. It's awesome.
All right, take care. Thank you for the report.
Okay, 2.3 is the 2026 Mayor's Salary Plan and General Fund Budget Preview.
Great. Are you going to do that right from your spot, or are you going to go up, Maureen?
I think I'll go up so I can move the slides.
Okay, sounds good. I'll just make a couple of comments. Would this be the third year? We'd be coming up on the third year now of the new salary plan. Obviously, the first one was unrolling it. The Leaf City administration, continues to support the plan. We see a lot of benefits here, a lot from the employees that they like the consistency of it. The first year when everything got reset and there was an average of an 8% raise, I think that was tough because some people got 20, some people got 4. I like the consistency of the way it's going, so we're continuing to work forward on that. Caps are obviously a challenge now. You can imagine if you've got a 3% cap on your property tax revenue, and you've got raises, if they're higher than that, your revenue sources from all your other revenue needs to be even higher than that in order to make up the difference for that. So we're working very hard to try to have competitive wages and keep moving forward. It's a challenge. If we don't have some good growth in franchise fees, growth in great companies like Agristo coming to town, it certainly makes it a challenge to grow your revenues, which makes it hard to fund all these things. As part of this, I know we've talked about in the past, it's something Maureen will talk about and we'll get into when we get into some of our other funds, but the shift from some of that sales tax percentage, taking that from economic development. I see Keith Lund cringing a little bit, but moving some of those funds to help out with some of the increased costs that are in roads, and then also looking to help backfill some of the general fund. I mean, that's something you're going to see that Maureen will highlight tonight as well. But these are some of the ways we're trying to get, take care of our employees, take care of our general fund needs, and finding new revenue sources to do so. So the team's worked really hard. This is probably 2-3 months worth of work already into what you're going to see tonight, and then we got 2 or 3 more months to get to this to be final. So do this every year. But with that, let's kick it off. Ms. Storstad, please.
All right, thank you. I'm not nearly as interesting as the library, but I will do my best. First of all, we just lay out, the mayor kind of laid out what we're going to talk to tonight, but this just puts in order. Gretchen and I are going to take team in a little bit tonight on a presentation. We would just ask the whole questions to the end, and then we can address that. But first of all, we'll just talk through the timeline, the budget process, where we're at today, where we plan to go. I'm going to let Gretchen speak to the salary plan and benefit update, and then we'll dive into the general fund a little bit and give you a preview of preliminary how that's looking, and then finally what upcoming meetings we will be having to come. Looking at the timeline then, that just lays it out. You saw this back in May when I was on here, May 19th. We've had meetings with departments, mayor, administration, human resources to go through budget requests that departments have submitted. We were here in front of you in May talking about fund balance policy, some of the growth indicators, some of the legislative impacts that we're looking at. Brings us to tonight. We'll be giving you a preview of the general fund and incorporating salary plan and benefits into that. Ultimately, though, we plan to present the budget in total and get into the entire mayor's budget in July. July 21st is the date that we plan to be in front of you presenting that budget, ultimately for preliminary approval in August and final approval in September. Before I get into the general fund, though, I'm going to let Gretchen speak to the salary plan and benefit update.
Right. Good evening, Mayor Buczynski and members of the council. I'm excited to present the salary plan information to you for 2026. Just as a refresher, this was the plan that was approved by council and implemented in 2024 after a study and redesign of the salary plan that was completed by Condrey and Associates. The plan was designed with 28 grades, which start off at 5% apart, and then up until grade 20, and then they go to 10% apart from 21 to 28. The plan has 18 steps, each being 2.5% apart. This plan has really allowed for our employees to have a level of predictability for their increases while maintaining external equity and being a competitive method of compensation. The plan has allowed for opportunities for succession planning, and we're starting to see a trend in the number of applicants increasing for positions and a reduction in turnover as well. So just a little bit about the salary plan design. The employer cost index that you'll see in handout D, the plan is designed to have an annual market adjustment to keep the tables current. So that adjustment is applied to the salary schedule as an overall percentage increase. The city utilizes the employer cost index, which is published by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. It is recommended the city apply that index from 75 to 100%. This year, that ECI came in at 3.8%. Along with the market adjustment, the plan is designed to provide employees with an annual step increase of 2.5% upon a satisfactory evaluation. As you're aware, Mayor Buczynski mentioned and Finance Director Storrs said there are many important factors that go into every budget. This year, we saw legislative changes that I'll talk about shortly that played a critical role in this budget, and then there were changes to the pension as well as an anticipated increase in health insurance. So with these budget constraints, the employer cost index that's being recommended tonight is at 50% of the ECI or 1.9%. Just to get into a little bit more about that ECI, it's put out by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, like I mentioned. It measures the cost of employees to employers. So this number encompasses not only the economy's performance, but helps to provide an indicator of how the labor costs are changing. This number is beginning to trend downwards. So as you can see above, it will hopefully continue to do so, as historically this number ranges from 1% to 2%. Like I mentioned on the slide before, we have built 50% of this number, or 1.9%, into the budget as the market adjustment for 2026. Many significant legislative updates happened in the most recent biennium. The NDPERS Public Safety Plan saw an increase of 1.23%, which is an increase to the employer contribution, and this impacted the general fund $183,000. So this increase is built into the mayor's budget for 2026. And then also in North Dakota, as of August 1st, the 911 dispatchers, or the public safety telecommunicators, as they're titled at the city of Grand Forks, will be formally recognized as first responders, making them eligible for that public safety retirement plan. This change is expected to help with recruiting and retaining dispatchers, but this change would also increase the employer contribution from 9.26% to 13.77% and have a $65,000 budgetary impact. This transition has been included into the mayor's budget as well, but will require an additional motion along with the salary plan at the approval of the budget. So just to kind of go over the costs a little bit, as you can see on the general fund, that performance-based increase is the 2.5% step. So it's about $685,411 for the general fund. And then that market increase of 50%, or the 1.90%, is $520,912. So it's totaling about $1,206,323. And then the next below is just the breakout for the all funds. So it includes all of the funds, and totals about $1,753,012. Looking at the little bit of the history, you can see the last 9 years in blue are for the mayor's proposed, or the mayor's budget, and the council approved budget for the last 9 years, and then the proposed budget is in the green. I will mention that number on the bottom, the $1,206,000, should actually be the $1,753,000. That was for the general fund, and these reflect the all funds increases, so we'll get that corrected. But that is our historical average for the budget. Staffing requests. So the city does a great job of promoting growth and opportunity for its employees. Departments strive for operational efficiency while also recognizing employees who take on some of those additional responsibilities and pursue certifications that enhance their job skills and performance. These ongoing initiatives contribute to the employee retention by providing greater motivation to excel. On this slide, you'll see the promotions and additional positions that have been included in the budget for 2026. I just wanted to provide a little bit of an update on the health insurance. We did change our health insurance to Health Partners this year in January. With that insurance agreement, there was a 12% rate cap increase for 2026. We have built in that 12%, but I did connect with Brown & Brown, and they stated that that increase may be slightly lower, but nothing is for certain at this point, but just a heads up on that. We'll have that number hopefully before that July meeting. And then also Public Health is looking to do a restructure. You may have noticed that in our handout with the salary plan. This restructure will have minimal fiscal impact, but it does remove that nursing and nutrition manager position and replace it with an assistant public health director position. So we are looking to incorporate those changes into the 2026 salary plan and budget as well. And I'll turn it back over to our finance director for the preview of the general fund.
All right, thank you, Gretchen. So based on what the numbers Gretchen just went through with you, I'll show you how that impacts the general fund, how we look at the projection, and our preliminary plan with the mayor's budget for the general fund. Before I get into that, though, just from the approach of property tax and how that looks for the city in total, the value of a mill is going from roughly 295,000 up to an estimated 307,000. That is in total a 4.27% increase in that value mill, but that does break down into a component of a growth piece and a revaluation piece. We know we have the limit of a 3% property tax cap based on the legislation from House Bill 1176. What that does equate to is a reduction in mills in total of 0.25 mills, bringing our levy down to 92 mills. So we show on here just the efforts of the city in property tax and trying to minimize that property tax component as much as possible. In this time frame, we show here going from 97.87 down to 92 mills then with the 2026 budget. So a 5.87 mill reduction over that time period. Maybe just one more thing on those mills. It's stated here, but it's basically a little over 1% of that is coming from growth and then a little over 3% revaluation. But once again, we'd be limited to 3% on that valuation piece. So there are challenges with the general fund, especially in a time of property tax as we figure in that formula. But the mayor is really focused on public safety in this budget and sees that as rising to the top of funding in the general fund. This budget plan does incorporate the addition of an evidence technician in 2026. You also saw Chief Friedman in front of you regarding a police grant with a plan of applying for 3 police officers that would be additional FTEs to this budget. What we have programmed into this budget is assuming we were successful in that grant application. For purposes of the numbers here, they begin in 2027 and we phase that funding in over a 4-year period. That has an estimated cost impact of $81,000 additional each year. We did already go through with you some of those legislative impacts, but just to highlight, one of the larger ones here is making the municipal court a court of record does have an impact. We have half-year impact in 2026 figured in here of $100,000, estimated beyond those an annual impact of $200,000. So it does have an impact on the budget that we hadn't projected a year ago when we were looking at this, but once again, we'll analyze that again next year when we're looking at these budgets and what that impact is. We've shown this slide in the past, just showing how the total expense of the general fund breaks down, both by category and by function, with the largest function being public safety, 56% of that budget. That's your fire, police, PSAP. Most of the expenses, of course, is people. It's wages and benefits at 82% of the piece of the pie. We are very tight on maintenance and operations in the general fund, but we are very staff heavy. When I show this in July, you'll see the pie is much different in the city as a total, but in the general fund, that's where much of your staffing is held. We do have a handout that's included in your material that will just give you a 1-page synopsis of the general fund revenue to expense and how that breaks down in those different categories. Overall, it's just over a 4% increase, but of course, limiting the property tax component to the 3% cap. In speaking to those cost implications, and the mayor alluded to this as well, we're looking at that interest or that allocation of the general city sales tax. Currently, it goes, well, you can see how the current 51.5% goes to the general fund, infrastructure 30%, and the remainder economic development. So what this budget proposes is a change of 3% of that economic development portion of sales tax, with 1.5% each going to help fund the general fund and 1.5% additional allocation toward the street infrastructure fund. What that means in dollars is roughly $220,000 for the general fund. I'm not going to get into detail of economic development tonight or street infrastructure fund. We'll focus tonight primarily on general fund, but we will get into that with the presentation in July. But this is looking at trying to fill some of those needs, making this fund sustainable over time as we look at those increased costs. We also spoke in May about fund balance policy. Looking at that cash balance is estimated to be roughly 16 million when we go into the 2026 budget year. What that means as far as a percent, we start this with very healthy fund balance, estimated 30% of next year's budgeted expenses. Based on that policy of 18%, currently meet that threshold, and we do show, as you'll see when I get through the projection, use of some of that cash. Bullet pointed here what those uses are looking at with one-time capital needs that add up to 3.3 million, and this was part of the 2025 budget, broke that down for you when we presented that, and that's still part of the plan. This has gone a long way to helping in sustain department needs in using those cash for those larger items. But finally, looking at an outlook of the general fund, I always say it's not hard to put together a one-year budget, but we just want to make sure we bring forward a plan that can be sustained over time. So as part of that, we have incorporated in here much of what, all of what Gretchen spoke of with the police positions, whether it's officers or the evidence tech. We have the increased cost of the defined benefit public safety plan. We have holding mills level, but with the assumption of a 3% cap on valuation and taking growth. We do have a quarter step increase or 2.5% increase step each year with the ECI component adding up to a projection of 4.5% a year going forward. Capital reserve fully funded. We use some cash for capital needs going forward. In the end, we maintain a cash balance using some loan and stabilization funds to bring in, but overall, we just dip below in the 6-year, below that 25%, but holding that cash balance over time in the general fund. With that, we do have much more detail coming to you in July 21st, when you'll get more of a detailed look at all the funds, also with a fee listing and utility rates, economic development. We'll get into much more detail when we present in July. Ultimately, of course, with that August 4th preliminary approval and September 15th final budget. And the full flow of meetings is in handout D for your review. But with that, I really would just open it up to questions if you have any for me or Gretchen tonight or the mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Storrs. I just want to make just highlight a couple things and we'll get to any further questions. One thing I would see if health insurance comes in better, I would like to push that since it's already considered a benefit for employees. If that comes in better, I think that'd be something that should go towards wages. So that would obviously come back here, but I think that'd be a good way to help with that ECI component. One thing to really look at is the percentage that's going to wages, to salary and benefits as a whole, the general fund. That being over 80% is probably the first time we've been there in city history that I can, at least since I've been here. I didn't look back too far, but we have to keep up on our maintenance and operations. Luckily, we've done that with reserves, but we do need to keep an eye on that number. If that continues to creep higher, it's going to leave us a little bit exposed on the maintenance and operations side. And if you look at this plan, this has us, we just talked about needing healthier reserves, so we have not only have interest, earnings from that, but it's also important under this era of caps that we've got some flexibility there. If there is a big expenditure, you see on this one that that has the potential to fall below that 25 by 2031. Hopefully revenues continue to do well. Your sales tax, your building permit, your franchise fees. Those are all hugely important, and they performed really well the last few years, which is why we have the reserves. But even looking at this year, there's a bit of a slowdown. And we need to continue to grow as a community because really the biggest benefit we get is that new growth. If we don't continue to grow that, it's really going to be a challenge to continue to operate at the service level that we do today. So with that, any comments from council or questions? Anybody?
You beat me to the health insurance thing. So.
Okay. Well, thanks. I stole your thunder there. Ms. Osowski, please.
I liked what you had to say about the health insurance, so that's a good idea, Mayor. I don't really have any questions besides, are we still going to get binders this year? Because I would appreciate a binder.
Yes, those binders, this is all preliminary at this point. Wanted to give you just where we're at in the process to now. But yes, The plan would be, as long as city council still likes the detailed budget, the plan would be to have a detailed budget binder when we present on July 21st.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
there anyone else that doesn't want a binder? No, Ms. Lunsky prefers saving the paper, so there's anyone
We
else
can
that
send
doesn't
it
want one?
electronically.
For her, all right, sounds good. Ms. Berg, please.
What happens if we aren't keeping up with the recommended 75 to 100% of the ECI?
And, you know, I can let Gretchen
I
speak
can-
as well, but,
Yeah, I
oh,
mean, I can hit that roughly. I think we worry about retention. There's a cost if we lose people. We've been competitive for a couple of years. If that drops off, we lose our competitiveness. And I think, yeah, the potential to lose employees, and you have to retrain new employees, and that can be a spiral. That can be very dangerous, so
So it could cost us more in the end, and then
definitely could.
we play catch-up, and it can cost us $1 million, again, like it did a couple of years ago.
Yep, absolutely. Is that, Gretchen, do you want to add to that? I was kind of going high level. You can probably go right down in the weeds if need be.
Yeah, absolutely. So this plan is designed, so we have that market component that increases every year. But eventually, I think it's between the 4 to 5 year mark, we'll do another assessment or a survey where we go out and survey our comparable entities. And that's where it's really going to show if we don't keep up, then we're falling much behind, you know, the Fargo, Bismarck, Mankato, all of those comparables. So then it'll be to try and play catch up again to get us back on track.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Lunsky, please.
So I kind of feel like a ding dong, but I can't remember the grades and the step difference. So I can meet with you guys separately about that. It feels like it's been longer than a year. So does everyone get a 3.8 raise or a 4.2% raise if they pass their review? Or
Councilmember Lunsky, members of the council. So with how that works is each year that entire table, depending on what that ECI percentage is, that table shifts. And then from there, depending on what step you're on, if you have a satisfactory evaluation, then you would get one step, which is 2.5%.
plus the ECI?
Plus, yep, that table shifts.
So where's that number? Or we don't know the ECI yet?
So it's been recommended tonight, it was recommended at that 50%, which is that 1.9%.
Okay.
And then if the satisfactory eval, then they would have plus the 2.5, so it'd be a 4.4 overall.
Okay. And I know in the past, we had some complaints about the reviews, supervisors not, maybe just giving a blanket review to everyone. Has any work been done on that to better help the reviews?
Yeah, so we actually did just send out a survey. I haven't analyzed the results fully, but we did switch from a numerical rating scale to a worded rating scale, so it's a little bit more of a pass-fail. It seems to facilitate better conversation and not having those blanket numbers, so everybody gets the same raise, right? So it's a little bit better that way, but I can definitely analyze those numbers and put something together to hand out.
Are supervisors given any sort of direction on how to do a review?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. So they are given training at the beginning of the year. We kind of do a performance training with them, providing our timeline and kind of those expectations. And then we do run supervisor train, like for new supervisors, we run a supervisor training in our every fall, and I think we're going to do one here shortly, so in the summer. So we kind of run those 2 times a year.
And then the reduction of economic development, is that we're reducing economic development to meet that need for the salary plan?
Yeah, so as we go through that in July, you'll see we're trying to fill the funding gap in a couple areas. We've kind of talked about general fund a little bit here on those impacts. And then also street infrastructure fund with some reduced funding coming through Prairie Dog or, legacy distribution. And so what we do show the need is we need to fund some more funds in those, some more dollars in those funds. So this would be a reduced to the economic development efforts and a little bit more for general fund and street infrastructure fund. So the total decrease, the economic development fund would be 440,000 estimate from that allocation change.
Thank you.
And Gretchen, I was just going to point out, every employee does get a review, from Todd Phelan to a new hire. Everyone gets a review every year, regardless of this plan or not. So I think we're switching to a numerical one. That had its challenges. They're long reviews. I know our staff spends a lot of hours, all the department heads spend a lot of time doing those. And now it's a pass-fail. So it's, if you've passed, you meet that threshold, you're going to get the steps and the raise. If not, you wouldn't. I don't know how many employees did we have that didn't meet that threshold in the last 2 years. It's been a pretty low number, but there has been some.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Friedel.
I was just going to mention so I don't know if you guys call it a PIP, a performance improvement plan, right? So, those are never fun to do. What happens? So if you get a fail, do you still get the raise, right? You still get the,
Councilmember Friedel, as far as the evaluation, if you were to.
right, if you fail it,
If you were to fail the eval or fail the PIP?
fail the eval.
Oh, if you were to fail the eval, you would not get the 2.5%.
Right, okay. And then
Yep.
they usually go on a PIP, right? That's usually sometimes, right? I get
Yes,
it, yeah.
there's usually tools in place to try and help them with their performance, yeah.
That's my world, so thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely, yep.
All right, any other comments for tonight? Vice President Weigel, please.
I personally, I know we've talked about this in the past. I know we have not implemented any type of pay for performance. And maybe if we don't want to implement it with this plan, maybe we can look at implementing it another way, whether it's if we have 10 employees that are going above and beyond every other employee, maybe we need to take a minute and set aside some cash to reward those employees. Because right now, everybody is getting the same raise if they meet the standard. And I know we have employees that go above and beyond, whether that's within our water department or police department or fire department, whoever it might be. So maybe that's something we look for in the budget as well.
No, I appreciate that. We obviously have promotions, and we have a healthy amount of promotions this year, and we always have those available. But we've talked about that in years, and I mean, I think we're willing to look at ideas on that. It's always a challenge because you have everybody thinks they're doing, a great job at times, and someone else gets, a raise. It's always a challenge, and to have superiors or supervisors making those decisions has always been a challenge. And how much goes to each department? If you got, obviously, it'd be a percentage. If you got 100 sworn officers versus a department like assessing that's got 5, it's always a challenge of how you land that. But
I would just add one more thing, Mayor. I think, one, I think that's why we pay our department heads very well to make some of those decisions. And two, I think that if you were to survey 100 firefighters, if we had 100, I know we don't have that many, but if you were to survey 100 of them, I bet they come to a consensus of maybe who that top performer is or that top 2 performers are. I think in any organization, people understand that and they know that. And I'd like to find a way just to recognize them, even if it's one-time funding and not necessarily in the actual salary itself, but maybe it's a bonus, maybe it's something along those lines. I'm open to ideas.
yeah, would you be willing if we did like a blind survey, let all the employees, if that's something that they're interested in, or I think that would be a great way to get feedback on that. And if it's well received, then great. If it's not, then we can move on. Sound like a plan? All right, Ms. Bird, please.
Have we previously had a survey on what employees preferred on raises? Was it like that 2.5% or competitively?
I would say overwhelmingly they were preferring the STEP program due to its consistency, but now we're a couple of years into it, so it'd be probably a good opportunity to hear some feedback again. I'm
I would
sure.
anticipate it being the same.
Yeah, I would, but at the same time, I think, they liked it because you had the steps, you had the ECI, and if we're not meeting the ECI, maybe it's still, a conversation to be had. There's only so many dollars to go around anyway, but it's good to have feedback. I mean, I get some feedback, meet with the employee reps group and some of the leadership there, but I think they do a great job of getting around and talking to people, but I think the answer is they would prefer larger raises and make sure that we're competitive. How that happens is probably, I think they would prefer it within the sort of the format that we've set up is what I would relay to you from what I've heard.
Sure.
Okay.
And then I guess with government, I wouldn't say we're looking to just make money. So having a pot of money to give to excelling employees could be difficult because we're not like a bank. We had a great year. Now we have extra funds to disperse out to the people who've helped us raise this extra money. A firefighter can't just go, oh, here's another fire. Found it on my own. Let's go. Just some of my thoughts.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, and we will have some opportunities with that defined benefit pension plan when that finally gets retired, and we've been putting money towards that, and we've had sales tax and other things, so we have been giving it back, so to speak, to help us out in the long term, but we try to run it like a business as best we can, but we are not a bank, that's for sure. Any further questions for tonight? Good discussion. All right, thank you, Ms. Storstad. Move on to item 3, public hearings and second reading of ordinances, and I'll let Maureen read in. We have 5 of them tonight.
3.1, public reading and second reading ordinance dedicating right-of-way preliminary approval plat of 47th Avenue South Edition. This is located at 3,000 to 3,400 47th Avenue South.
Thank you. So we'll open the public hearing on item 3.1. If anyone's here to speak on item 3.1, please step to the podium. All right, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing portion and open up for council for comments and motions. Motion to approve from Vice President Weigel, second from Ms. Berg. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
3.2, public hearing and second reading of ordinance for annexation of 47th Avenue South Edition located 3,000 3,400 47th Avenue South.
All right, we'll go with the same protocol here, and we'll look to open the public hearing for item 3.2. Anyone here to speak on item 3.2, please step forward to the podium. All right, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing portion. And just to check, we didn't have any online for, if there's any of these, let me know if there's any online comments too. All right, thank you. With that, we'll open up to council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved from Berg, second from Mr. Friedolfs. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
3.3, public hearing and second reading of an ordinance to amend the zoning map to rezone from I-1 Light Industrial District to B3 General Commercial District. Properties located at 2009, 13, 19, and 2105 Gateway Drive.
Thank you. We'll open the public hearing portion for item 3.3. Anyone here to speak on item 3.3, please step to the podium. All right, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing portion, open it up to council. Motion approved from Ms. Osowski. Do we have a second? Second from, I'm going to give it to Ms. Lunsky. Any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
3.4, public hearing and second reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 18 Land Development Code, Article 4, non-conforming uses of Grand Forks City Code.
All right, I guess you can guess what I'm about to do. We'll open the public hearing, item 3.4. Anyone here to speak on item 3.4, please step up to the microphone. You get to hear that one more time. All right, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing portion and open it up to council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved from Ms. Berg, second from Mr. Friedolfs. Any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
5.6, Northridge Construction Tax Incentive Application.
You got, you flipped the page there, Maureen, we're at 3.5.
Sorry. All right, 3.5, public hearing and second reading of the following 3 items relating to Burkhold's 8th development should be postponed to July 21st City Council meeting.
Okay, so we're looking for, on this one, I'm going to, Mr. Gossett, should I open the public hearing still to get that portion fulfilled this evening, or should we wait till the 21st to do that of July?
Yeah, you could open the public hearing because it was publicized, it was published for tonight for the public hearing, correct?
Yeah, Mayor Brown, or Mayor Boczynski, members of City Council. Yes, it was published for a public hearing for tonight. However, it was pulled from the Planning and Zoning meeting, so they have not held their public hearing on it yet. So we probably will need to have public hearing again when it comes back as well.
Given that information, I'd pull everything, postpone everything.
So for now, I'd just be looking for a motion from council to
Move approval to
postpone
postpone.
until July 21st. We got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries unanimously. That it will be postponed till the 21st of July. All right, move on to number 4, citizen comments as they relate to action items. Do we have citizen comments this evening?
I have 3 attached for you. One that came in last week and was held till this week because there's no public hearing or public comment on the meeting. And then attached 2 late today, 1 during this meeting. We have 1 person here to speak, Andy Krausnick. And he had listed items 5.6 and 5.10. He was informed he gets 5 minutes total to speak.
And Mr. Krosnick, I did check with the city attorney just to see our protocol on that, so it's not 2 separate 5-minute windows, it is just one, so do your best. We'll try to be as good as we can, but come up and I'll wait to start the clock until you get up here and start talking. And then you can see up in the corners there, if you want to take a quick glance to know where you're at in the time.
Up there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, please.
Thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Andrew Krosnick. I live at 4953 Curran Court. My business, Albatross Indoor Golf Club, is located at 2800 South Columbia Road in the Columbia Mall, space 232. I was planning on speaking on both items, but I'm just going to focus on item 5.6 regarding the tax incentive application. Thank you very much for your time. I have my full memo posted online as public record, so you can review that. It was stated during last week's meeting that this application for the reserve is a test case for other applications that have also passed through the pre-application approval stage. Those include Greenview Living on the Ray Richards property, the Domain located on 47th Avenue South by Marathon Gas Station, and CK Commercial located on Kingsview Drive. Well, with this one being framed up as a test case, it is even more important to rigorously analyze this incentive, as you may be setting an even further precedent than you have previously. I wish I would have known what was going to be happening with the Memorial Village project when that was going through this similar approval process a few years ago. Had I known they would be directly competing with my business, my livelihood, with the inclusion of golf simulators, I most certainly would have come forward at that time. I want to be very clear. I am 100% in favor of the free market and anyone having the right to compete with my business or with any other business in town. What I do not support is forcing existing businesses to compete with new or expanded tax incentivized businesses. This is what can potentially occur with this project in question this evening with the reserve, and it most certainly is proposed to happen with multiple of the other proposed developments, of which this was said to be a test case for. Here are some of my major questions and concerns in relation to this project and the incentive discussion overall. How is this incentive being considered as the first of 4 currently in the pipeline when this incentive, as well as the other potential 3, contradict the guidelines laid out in North Dakota Century Code 40-57.1, which is where these incentives are being derived from? This chapter states, quote, "It is the intent of the Legislative Assembly that political subdivisions and the State Board of Equalization, in their determination of whether the tax exemptions authorized by this chapter shall be granted, shall give due weight to their impact and effect upon existing industry and business, to the end that an unfair advantage shall not be given to new or expanded enterprises, which is to the substantial detriment of existing enterprises," end quote. With the inclusion of amenities, it is to the substantial detriment of other existing retail enterprises. If they include golf simulators, like Memorial Village has done, and now like Greenview Living and the Domain both propose to do, then it would most certainly be to the substantial detriment of existing enterprises, one of which being my existing business, Albatross Indoor Golf Club. It may also be to the detriment of gym and fitness studios, or coffee shops, or spas, or bowling alleys, or many other amenities, possible amenities now or in the future. John Miscavige, owner of Northridge, called me last Monday after someone shared my memo with him, and thanks for sharing that, whoever did. It was nice of John to give me a call, ask me about my concerns, as he and I don't know each other personally. He assured me that he doesn't intend to include golf simulators in his developments. But this do not compete aspect needs to be made officially binding in these tax incentive agreements. The ability to compete with other existing businesses to their detriment needs to be addressed contractually within these tax incentive agreements. Even if the competition with and detriment of other rental property owners is going to be bypassed, the amenities and other retail offerings need to be addressed, so existing retail businesses are not forced to face off with new tax incentivized competition. 2 concerning narratives continue to be utilized as support for these developments. Those 2 narratives are a housing shortage, as well as a push for a zero to something in relation to property tax revenues. With both of these narratives, there continues to be both a lack of transparency and spirited discussion and debate, as well as in some cases a lack of integrity in the actual data being shared. Even if the housing narrative holds true, why are the ramifications these tax incentives have on other existing retail businesses not being considered? Yes, amenities are part of these complexes, and they are most certainly then being incentivized through the project as a whole. If I decide to offer axe throwing at Albatross as a free or included amenity for my golf simulator guests, That would still be me competing with two local existing businesses. The difference being that I'm not given tax incentives to do so. I and no other existing business in the community of Grand Forks should have to compete to its detriment with a tax incentivized new or expanding business. Again, per ND Century Code, where these tax incentives are derived, quote, "The tax exemptions authorized by this chapter shall be granted, shall give due weight to their impact and effect upon existing industry and business to the end that an unfair advantage shall not be given to new or expanded enterprises, which is to the substantial detriment of existing enterprises," end quote. You all
Thank
have
you,
my contact.
Mr. Krausnick. We wrapping up there? Just, yeah, please.
You bet. And yeah, I was just going to say, you have my contact information, and the public can get a hold of me too via our website, so.
Well done. You must have practiced that perfectly in 5 minutes.
If you, just today, you know?
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Ms. Lundmark, any other comments this evening? All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to action items then. The council did want to pull 5.5. I know we got Ward Clarabout here's got a small presentation. Any other items that council would like pulled for further discussion?
I'd like 5.6 and 510, please.
5.6 and 5.10. Thank you.
Like 5.1.
5.1.
5.8.
5.8. All right. Mr. Vina, do you have any others beyond 5.1, 5.5, 5.6, 5.8, and 5.10 that you'd like pulled for further discussion? Okay. All right, yeah, just a minute. We got it. We're gonna have another one item ahead of you, so take your time. Oh, don't listen to her. With that, we'll look for a motion to approve items 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, 5.7, and 5.9. So looking for a motion.
Make a motion to
those.
approve.
Motion approved from Mr. Friedoff, second from Vice President Weigel. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. So, Ms. Storstad, we got 5.1, 5.5, 5.6, 5.8, and 5.10.
Got it. All right, 5.1, the application for tax exemption of remodeling improvements for various residential and commercial properties.
All right, Ms. Berg, did you have any questions?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks, maybe you could step up here. You're
I had
probably likely to.
Two specific questions. For the ISS application, I believe the application said it was built in 2025, and so they're looking to expand again this year.
Which one is that, please?
The ISS,
Oh, that was just the addition that was put on, was for 2025, but that building was originally built about 5-6 years ago.
okay, thank you. And then for,
With the commercial properties, there is no age restriction for that exemption.
all right. Then I believe it was for Gail's application. Was there a date, an inspection date on that? I didn't see one. Gail Williams.
Looks like it's about the 6th or 7th one in.
Yeah.
2501 26th Avenue South, number 20.
My apologies for that. I usually check them. We usually will not even send these out without that inspection being completed. I can certainly resubmit this with the next one if you wish, but I am sure it's been done, but it's not indicated on here.
All right,
I just don't know off the top of my head.
sure.
Did you want to pull that one for further review, or maybe she can go back and look before we get final signature on that?
I can bring it to the next city council for you too.
Sure.
And I think I've got to sign all these at the end. You just want to confirm that before I sign? Why did I not
Sure.
sign it? And if it's not confirmed, is that okay? I got to sign all these at the bottom once they're insured, so if you're good with me just reviewing
Yeah,
and making
if
sure that
it's
gets
been
done.
inspected, I would move to approve everything.
Okay. Could you, just, Ms. Lazar, as you're up here, could you talk about the five, I think people, should know about this program that's existing, commercial and residential remodel exemption. Could you speak to that?
Sure. So we have a 5-year residential and commercial remodel exemption that's available to all property owners. For residential properties, the homes have to be 25 years of age or older in order to qualify. We would add value of $5,000 at a minimum for commercial properties, there is no age restriction for them, but they, the value added has to be $15,000 and 10% of improvement value. We typically are very proactive in sending them out. We try to make sure that we've been out to the properties before we send them out so that we know that they qualify. But if we are at the end of our year and we think that they're going to qualify, we will send them out as a reminder to them that this program is available, and if they can let us in, because typically if it's a kitchen remodel, we do have to do the inspection and they have to let us in order to grant that. So we do send them out as a reminder that this is available to them if they'll give us that opportunity.
All right, thank you. And then, yeah, if you just bring that one, make sure we got a date on there, then
Sure.
before I sign it, we'll be
You
able to
bet.
check on
Thank
that.
you.
And I can report back to Ms. Berg on that. Any other questions?
No, I made a motion to approve.
Okay, we got a motion approved. Do we have a second? I should have got the second first before we kept talking. We got a motion and a second. Motion's from Ms. Berg, second from Ms. Lunsky. For the record, Ms. Lundmark. Any further discussion on item 5.1? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
5.5 is the Agristo tax incentive application and to set the public hearing.
Mr. Phelan, I understand you had a meeting today. Why don't you give us an
We
update
did.
and let us
Mayor-
know how things
Mayor
are going?
Buchenski, members of City Council. Number one, thanks last week. The committee of whole approved this 90% 20-year tax incentive to move forward. So thank you for that, and there's more work to be done. I just wanted to highlight, we will plan to go to the Local Government Advisory Committee on June 23rd. We'll plan to be at the Grand Forks School Board on July 14th, and then Grand Forks County Commission on July 8th to get their acceptance, and then I think we're planning to be back here on July 21st. And before I introduce our honored guests here, Mr. Gosta and I had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Clairbutt from Agristo, so we want to give you a quick update on that. Also, Lisa Botnan is leading our environmental engineering team, and there'll be a meeting tomorrow morning with their environmental engineering team regarding some of the particulars, and most of those particulars will go into this development agreement. And we're anticipating right now, our plan is, if the tax incentive is going to be reviewed and hopefully approved on the July 21st, we would, our goal is to bring the development agreement back to the COW on July 14th and for the 21st for approval. So I think we're pretty well aligned with things coming together. We're really doing the easy part. All Agristo has to do is plan, design, finance, and build this project. Other than that, they don't have anything really to do. So I always try to remind myself, if I think my day is hard or what we're doing is hard, and you're going to see what they're doing, it's a heck of a lot harder than what we're having to do here in the city of Grand Forks. So we're grateful for that. So with that, I'd invite Mr. Gosta to just give you a quick update of what we heard today.
Yeah, as Mr. Phelan mentioned, we had a meeting today with Mr. Clairbout, and it was very positive. We had already sent him a working draft of both the development agreement and pilot, and there were a few other documents that were attached to the development agreement. From my review of some of the changes, and I expected that. You always expect that people are going to review the documents that you prepare, and they'll have comments in response to those documents. The comments were not unreasonable, something that we'll be able to work through readily. I'm not seeing any real obstacles to overcome, and that's an expectation when you're entering into these type of contracts. And again, it was a document that has been utilized in the past with some of the provisions, so I'm expecting we'll be able to get through these, what they've presented in short order and have something to you fairly soon.
And then Mayor, Mr. Clairbout, he's going to provide a overview. But before that, there's another new Agristo guest that we have here, and we did meet him in Belgium, Gert Vandevelde. I mean, he is right here. And he's working on the construction side, and Ruben Davos, he's here in Grand Forks this week, but he had some other obligations that he was going to meet. But my understanding is Gert is going to be working with Ruben on building this facility. This $450 million, probably plus, from what I heard from Ward today. And so Gert explained to us when we were in Belgium that he has worked in the United States on other projects, and mainly in the southeast. So he's really going to help advise Ruben on this investment in North America and the United States and this, state of North Dakota and Grand Forks, North Dakota. So he's going to really help support that. He's been here and done that. He's worked with Americans and trying to build things. So I think he's going to be a great support. So it's great to see Gert here today to help build this, and Ruben will be around too this week too. So maybe with that, Ward, I think your presentation is going to answer a lot of the questions that people may have and that all the progress that you made along the way. So I'll have you come to the podium.
We got quite the build-up for you, Ward, so we better see it. Something special. All right.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Thank you very much for taking some time and to give me the opportunity to present our company, also to the members of the public, and also to present where we are on this project today. Also, thanks to Mr. Phelan to pronounce my name right. I know you have been practicing today, so sounded perfect. I want to start with explaining a little bit where our company started from, and that's very important for us too. We are a family-owned company still today, and it started with actually two friends, and you see them here on the slide. It's Anton and Luc. They are sons of farmers. They used to work for a boss, and turns out they didn't like to work for a boss, so they started thinking on what can we actually do, how can we build a business. And they had a dream, like every great story has a dream, they had a dream too. And they bought an old production line somewhere in Germany, and they installed it at the farm of their fathers. And they all have children, so the dream goes on. There's the second generation today. They were already working, well, not in the factory, but they were working, as you can see on the slide. The left one is today our CEO, so they are still in the company. And you see that this company, it's really carried by the family still today. And they were proud, and they're still very proud on every step that they took, from a silo arriving, from a little expansion, and bit by bit our company became bigger. And we had to pull together. I mean, in the beginning, there was not a lot of means, there was not a lot of money. Here you can see them installing some kind of a pond. They didn't have means to hire a lot of contractors, so they called all the neighbors that they could call, and they all came in and helped to install this. Just again, as an example of where we came from. This second generation today is in charge. They grew up just like we all do, and they're all active in the company, which is kind of exceptional for a family company. There's 5 members of the second generation. They all took up operational roles, from CEO to supply chain officer, so they're all still there. This is a bit of a timeline of the company. I won't go into every single detail, but there are some big milestones. For example, in 2001, we bought a production facility in the Netherlands. We modernized that production facility. We expanded it also. 2011, we did the same thing in Nazareth, that's close to Ghent, again in Belgium, and again also expanded that factory. The big step came in 2016. There we bought a brownfield site. We redeveloped the whole site, and now today that is our biggest production site in Belgium, and also the headquarters of our company. 2018, second generation took over. And we even started an adventure in 2021, a rather small company today, but we started an activity in India too, which we are also expanding at this moment. It even goes further. We're also expanding in France, so the growth is going quite quickly. And we have very strong ambitions to grow further. Our marketing team is clearly aiming for the moon in 2100. Let's see if we'll get there. So some numbers, we have 6 production facilities today, 3 in Belgium, 1 in the Netherlands, 1 is being built up in France, and 1 in India. We export our products. We produce frozen French fries, I assume everyone knows. I didn't say that, I think, but frozen potato products, and we export them to 145 countries worldwide. With 1,500 employees in our current facilities. We are a private label producer, so we are not a branded player. That makes us a bit different from a lot of other competitors of us. And we're mainly active in retail, so supermarkets, and food service. Not QSR. We don't really do fast food. It's a very different segment. It is not our current business. And so, as you know, we are looking for expansion. We see market growing, and we see also that we can add value to those markets. So we go where the potatoes grow. That's pretty literally, actually. They grow well in Western Europe. They grow well in India. But we also know they grow very, very well in North America, and then specifically here in North Dakota. So it made us go to, made us start thinking about going to the United States, and it seemed big, it seemed like a faraway dream, and we've been working on this for quite some time. We've been working on this for 3 years in different states, doing potato trials in different states, checking everything out, and we advanced quite a lot in the meantime. So today we made our analysis. We chose Grand Forks, North Dakota, as the best place where we can grow potatoes, the best place to build a factory to. And we also identified the plot of land that matches our needs the best. And that is the land that is currently owned by Fufeng. We are very close with Fufeng to sign an option agreement. So we are finalizing that, and we are expecting to be signing that in the upcoming weeks. We have our engineering team present, as said before. So they will be here this week. They will work a lot with engineering companies, local engineering companies, also discuss a lot with general contractors, mainly to get the budget down, but so far it's going up. And we're also, of course, working a lot to get all the permitting done. So we are working with all the authorities to gather all the information necessary so we can apply for the permits. Important, the CFIUS procedure is also something we are, of course, preparing. We will file a voluntary declaration at CFIUS. We had a discussion even this morning with representatives of the military air base in Grand Forks, and also with the representative of CFIUS committee, or the Air Force. It's called Foreign Investment Risk Assessment Department, if I'm not mistaken. They were very constructive. They gave us good advice. They help us gather all the necessary information. So we are hoping again to file soon in the upcoming weeks. This is the timeline as we set it up. So for us, the deadline is very important. We need to go to commercial production, to make this whole project viable in September 2028. That seems far. That really is very, very tight with everything that needs to be done. Geert will also tell us it's going to take 2 years to build this factory, and there's still a lot of engineering to be done. And also for us, this is also very important, and for the council and also for the members of the public. We as a company, and we've done this everywhere where we build a company, it's very important to be part of the community where we build something in. This is, we're not a company, we're not an island in itself. We have to work with people from here. So we really want to be open to everyone too. And we are going to organize a community gathering event on the 25th of August at the town square. So we're already asking everyone to save the date. I can promise that there will be French fries at this event. So everyone who has questions, feel free to come to pass by, and our team will be there also to answer any questions you might have. That's it. Thank you very much for your attention.
All right, Mr. Kloba, would you be willing to answer any questions? If anyone
Yeah,
has
of
any
course.
question
Yeah,
for you
yeah.
at this time?
Happily.
Ms. Oselski, you got a question, please?
Yes, I had the pleasure of meeting Ward. I can't pronounce his last name, but
you should try,
while we were
maybe.
in Belgium, on my small list of questions, I did have if there were going to be French fries at the meeting event. Maybe you could bring in like all the different potato products that you guys make, like you let us try in Belgium.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would be fun.
The challenge is going to be to get them here, but we'll make sure that works by the 25th of August. Yeah.
All right. I know I've set this but since you're here, I'd like to ask you, are you willing to share the outcome of your CFIUS results with the council then once that has been completed?
Yeah. For me, if this CFIUS procedure allows that, I have no issues at all to share that information with the council. And I also know it's a very sensitive topic. So I also want to be very clear on this. If there's no positive outcome of the CFIUS procedure, we will not be able to proceed with this project. So it's very important for us that this outcome of the CFIUS procedure is a positive outcome. So this I can guarantee to you, and I have no problem to share it when the outcome is there. And if it's allowed in the CFIUS procedure, I don't know the details of the procedure.
It is allowed, but only if you're willing to share it. And so, but I know I've talked to Mr. Gosted, and that's something that we're going to try to put in the development agreement, correct? That they are going to have to share the outcome of the CFIUS declaration that they file for.
Yeah. Really, I have no problem with that. From the beginning, we said we will work in full transparency. This is what we're going to do, so there's no issue there.
And then Mr. Gosted, we are going to have that in the development agreement also, correct?
We will.
Okay. All right. I know today we're talking about the tax incentive, which I'm not going to vote for, and I apologize. I think you guys are a great group of people. I even have my Agristo notebook that you gave me in Belgium. But I guess I just don't agree with the large tax incentive. But I'm really excited for you guys to come to an agreement with the Fufeng land, and I am excited for you guys to be a part of our community. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any further questions for Mr. Clairvaux? Mr. Friedhoffs, please.
Not necessarily a question, but this is one of the larger projects, obviously for most people, but that I've been involved with. You know, we just hit our year mark on the council, and this is awesome. You know, you see the family photos and stuff, and the project is, you know, it's one of those things. It's a feel good. I forgot the name of the gentleman that was here before. Just knowing that it's a family-owned business and seeing the passion you guys put into it. Is just so exciting to watch this, you know, transform. And 2028 is not that far away. It's going to be here before we know it. And I'm looking forward to eating some potatoes. So, thank you.
Very much. Yeah.
Any further comments? Well, I'll just do the same. I'll say thank you, and thank you to the team. Obviously, without the state and local incentives, the project wouldn't be here. So if we're a big supporter of the project, we have to support those too. So I appreciate all the work you've done, and thank you so much for choosing Grand Forks, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, with that, any other comments internally? Otherwise, we're looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Berg. Do we have a second? Second from Lunsky. Oh, we had a couple over here. Any further comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries with Osowski dissenting.
All right, now 5.6, Northridge Construction Tax Incentive Application, and to set the public hearing.
All right, thank you. Any comments or questions from, I think, was it Ms. Osowski? Did you want to opine on this one?
I disagree with us continuously giving tax incentives to these apartment buildings. I think our speaker earlier, you know, brought up a lot of good points that we're just not incentivizing, you know, the building, but we are also incentivizing the businesses that are going in there. And I understand that we need housing in our community, but I guess if we have to use tax incentives to get housing, I would rather see those go towards single-family homes. All I've seen in our community is giant apartment complexes being put up, and I understand when people talk about, you know, like these starter homes and stuff, I guess what they are speaking of, and I guess what I think of, are two completely, you know, they're talking about building $300,000 homes on the south end. And I guess when I think about starter homes, I think of those nice little 3-bedroom, 1-level, smaller homes. I know the first home that I actually purchased myself was only 1,000 square feet. And so I guess I would rather use tax incentives to help build homes like that so people can own the property and, better themselves and just kind of get themselves ahead instead of continuously keeping incentivizing these apartment buildings where, the rent on a lot of these buildings is a lot more than even what a mortgage is. So I disagree 100% with continuing to give these types of tax incentives to apartment buildings. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Osowski. Any other comments from council?
Mayor, I do have a question.
Mr. Veen, please.
I would like some kind of response to the non-compete that was brought up earlier. Is there?
Maybe Mr. Gosted, was there it was brought up that this was in violation of state century code. Is that what you're referring to, Mr. Veen?
Yeah, and not just the code, obviously that's very critical, but the fact that it would be subsidized and could compete with existing businesses. Could somebody explain that better for me? Because I certainly approve and support the exempt or the request here, but I'm concerned about the compete, so.
I don't know what you're really asking, Mr. Veen. The opinion of Mr. Krausnick was that if the apartment complex were to put a gym or a golf simulator, that would be competing with Choice Health and Fitness or his facility.
Correct. That's what
yeah, what is your question?
That's what I heard too. So could we, as a part of this, have a non-compete clause for the businesses that are internal to it?
Have a non-compete clause stating what?
That they couldn't bring businesses in that compete with current existing business? Is that even a possibility?
Mr. Gosted, hand that one to you.
Okay, there is a, actually, the statute does talk about competitive, and that's precisely why you publish notice, is so that the competitors, those that feel that they are a competitor to somebody who may be seeking a tax incentive, can come before this council, and this council can then evaluate exactly as the speaker spoke to today, as to whether there's an unfair advantage or not. And in fact, if you take a look at some of the resolutions, we do address the competitive nature. And if there is that level of competition, certainly you can either deny it. I would hesitate to put in a non-compete, because then how are we going to monitor that? How are we going to know if there's competition? Are we going to start looking at financial statements as to what type of revenue they're getting off of, a ping pong table or a gymnasium, or and how are you going to be able to measure whether there is that competition or not? It could be added, of course, but the monitoring of that would become difficult, to say the least. So there is ingrained within the process where those that feel that they're getting, that somebody's competing against them, can come before this board and make their case. And that's what the city council can decide, and that's the entirety of the approval process. Not only, they can come before this council, they can come before the city, the county commission, they can come before the school board, for that matter, and speak if those entities allow them to. So there is this process to permit this exploration of those type of competitive nature. And I guess I take a look at it, and it would seem to me that anybody that comes in more than likely has a competitor in some level, at some granular level. There is a competitor out there. And again, I'm just thinking of from the prospect of how do we enforce something like this going forward.
Mr. Veen, please continue if you had something in response to that.
Yeah, and part of the thing is we don't know what future businesses are going to be there. Is that right? And what may or may not compete. So, Mr. Gosselin, hearing you say is the administrative part about identifying them in the future would be difficult?
I certainly can envision that, and my staff doesn't have the wherewithal to be able to oversee these pilots and then make an evaluation as to whether there's competitive or not, and whether that was contemplated at the time the pilot was adopted, and truly what it means to be in competition.
Last question here, I think. How much commercial space is anticipated in this development?
I think that's for Mr. Brooks. I don't believe there's any.
No, Councilmember Vian, there is no commercial in this development.
Okay, thank you.
All the things we're talking about right now would be amenities to those that are renting apartments in that facility. And so these are really overhead expenses to get people to, sign up and get an apartment. So these aren't for public use. They're for the residents of their facilities so they can attract and retain rental customers.
All right, any further comments or actions? Vice President Weigel, please.
I'll just add one thing real quick, Mayor. I did hear from a senior citizen within the last week, and they talked about housing and how their lease wasn't renewed where they were living, and so they were looking for a bedroom or an apartment that's on the ground floor due to some medical challenges. And they spoke to me about how difficult it was to find an apartment in Grand Forks. So that's something that kind of stuck with me, and specifically an apartment on a ground floor so that they could easily access their place and not have to use stairs or the elevator. And so I think we've had a lot of really good discussion. I still think that we do need additional housing for a lot of different levels. I agree with Ms. Osowski that I think that if we can find ways to get more single-family housing within our community at whatever price point that is, I think that's important. But I also think it's important, too, that we look at different options so people can have whatever option for housing that they're looking for at whatever stage in their life. So,
Thank you, Mr. Weigel. Any other comments? Ms. Berg, please.
I appreciate us clarifying that the amenities are specifically for the renters of that apartment building and not just open to the public. I think that clears up a lot of some of that confusion. Me personally, I don't see another apartment building competing with other apartment buildings in this type of way, because there's just a finite amount of apartments. So you can't just have more units in your apartment building. If they're full, they're full, and we need more space in our community. So with that, I'll motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve, and that would be setting the public hearing date for July 21st. Is that correct? Okay. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? So we got a motion from Ms. Berg, second from Ms. Lunsky. Any further discussion on M5.6? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries with Osowski dissenting. Got 5.8 and 5.10, Ms.
Yep, 5.8, preliminary approval of vacation of 2 bikeway and pedestrian easements and 2 sidewalk easements located 2200 to 2400 block at Bethesda Circle.
All right, Ms. Lunsky, is this your item that you wanted
Yes.
pulled? So we'll call on you first.
So is Bethesda is also close to the one that was pulled that is Burkholz, correct? Are they're next to each other?
Yeah, essentially, they're very close to each other. Burkholz is to the north, and Bethesda Circle, which is part of the Valley 4000 complex there at the corner of 42nd and 24th, is to the south.
So I just was curious why we're putting in a new addition, but we're pulling then bike lanes out of a neighborhood.
Sure. So in this case, we had a request from the homeowners association on Bethesda Circle. There's Townhome Association there. There's an existing path there. It's gravel. It's fairly close to the rear yards of some of those homes in that area. There was I'll say there's 4 different types of easements that are there. There's some that go down to the coulee to cross over. There's some that head to Bethesda Circle from the path that's behind. And then there's the main path now that has a gravel path on it. The intent, I think, when they originally put that in was to eventually connect that to the north. I will state that there's another coulee that curves and heads out towards 42nd, so there's another crossing. These won't touch the two Burkholz and this existing Bethesda path, so there's some gap in between. So in terms of why ultimately the Planning Commission decided to vacate that, I would say that there's a lot of discussion. There's probably 5 different reasons why, because I think the vote was 5-1 or 6-1. And I think ultimately what I heard was, I think ultimately it was the distance between the back of those townhomes to where that location was. I think that was the most, I think, concern. There was some talk of maybe moving that to the sidewalk, still having a connection, but moving it over to the sidewalk. Ultimately, that still is a private sidewalk. It's owned, it's under the ownership of those townhomes. So I think that was the reason that that didn't ultimately get selected, but that there was a short conversation on that as well. Our bike path network and pedestrian network is still very important. That is something that we'll continue to work on. We have those connections every time we have a public road right away. We have sidewalks and we'll continue to do that. This section just is a private road and was put in just prior to 2000. So it's been around a bit.
Is there a restriction of how much space from someone's house or yard?
We don't have that, and I've talked about that. So in this area, it runs behind a few homes there. We typically, if it's a cut-through path, that's a connecting path. It's not unusual to have those that cut by a couple homes to connect up between two areas, to have those relatively close. Usually there's a pretty good distance between building face and where that path is, but it's not unusual to have some closeness. In this case, it's an entire stretch along there, and today it's gravel, and ultimately I think the decision by the recommendation from Planning Commission was to have it vacated moving forward.
Thank you.
Mr. Brooks, it's been 25 years and it hasn't been paved. It looks like they had a letter said they were going to pave it in 1999.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, it's probably time to move on this one then. Okay, was it 5-1 or 6? It was only one dissenting at Planning.
Yeah, there was
Zoning.
one dissenting and one abstaining.
All right. Any other questions or comments or motions?
Just a quick comment. I looked at some of the other trails that are kind of in that area. The one that runs north and south, kind of parallel to 42nd, mainly kind of across from the Alaris Center. That trail is about 100 feet from a house. This one in some spots is like 25 feet. So I think it's significantly closer. I know for me, I personally probably wouldn't want a trail that close to my house running from the back. And so that's something just to think about it. It's significantly closer than some of the other ones that I've seen.
So I think I thought a lot about that. How about the other people in Grand Forks who currently do have that's closer than 25 feet? And I hate to bring it up, but when we went on the snowmobile trip, there's one that you can go on their fence line. I just think, are we opening it up to more people vacating?
We're not opening up to snowmobiles, I know that much. It was rhetorical, I'm assuming that question, okay. Ms. Osowski, please.
We're going to get another chance to vote on this, though, right? For the public hearing?
This is preliminary, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
On August 4th? Okay, thank you.
I'll move approval.
Got a motion to approve
I'll
from Vice
second.
President Weigel, second from Ms. Osowski. Any further comment? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
5.10, introduction of ordinance and preliminary approval of an amendment to the zoning map to rezone from Meadow Ridge PUD Amendment Number 3 to Meadow Ridge Amendment Number 4, density increase and allowance for a first floor residential located at 1065 47th Avenue South.
All right, thank you. We got Mr. Brooks. Any questions, Mr. Brooks? Mrs. Selski, please.
I pulled this one. I don't have any questions. I disagree with changing the density of an area. Also, you know, I have major concerns about the parking and other things like that. Like, how many parking spaces do they have there?
Well, they would meet, we haven't gotten into the evaluation of the site plan itself, but they will be required to meet our parking requirements. So one bedroom is 2 spaces per, 2 bedrooms are 2 1/4, and 3 bedrooms are 3 spaces. So, and on parking itself, commercial would have additional.
So, hang on a second. So this whole development is new? I thought they were just changing like the first floor.
This one will be for phase 2. It's for the entire building. Today it's set up as just a B3. They had 72 units total on the upper floors, and all the first floor would be commercial. They're changing to, what they'd like to do is reduce the amount of commercial and add total units. It's going up to a 5-story. So there'd be additional units. They'd be going up to, I want to say it's 155 units, but they are reducing the commercial overall on the site.
So they want to increase the density, but they don't know about the parking yet?
We haven't done site plan evaluation yet, so from that perspective, we haven't done a full evaluation on a site plan.
I guess I would like to see a full evaluation of a site plan. I disagreed with Memorial Village 1 and 2 and them not having adequate parking. And I also disagree with changing the density of an area. And so I am gonna disagree with this. Maybe if they came back with a full site plan and they knew exactly kind of what they were gonna do, but I disagree with this at this point. So thank you.
Mr. Brooks, they have to comply with the regulation for parking like any other apartment
Correct.
complex?
Yep.
Okay.
And this is preliminary, we'll still have final next month as well,
And
but
this was unanimously approved by planning and zoning, and they dug into this one and reviewed it
Yep,
in depth?
correct.
Okay.
and we'll do a public hearing at our next meeting.
Can we get a site plan review before the public hearing then?
I don't know if that's,
If they have it done, we can get it done, you know, in a couple days in terms of their review, but I think what we're looking at as a concept here, they have not completed a site plan as of yet, but we can certainly work with them and see where they're at with it.
I would like to see like the full picture, I guess, before I would really jump on board with this, because I feel like sometimes when we change, you know, the city code, then, and they haven't told us what they want to do, they can basically do whatever they want. And so I'm going to have to disagree on this one. Thank you.
this is going to go from business down to, usually we move forward a lot of the down zoning. Is this kind of considered a down zone from business to residential, or how would you view this?
Well, yeah, it's going to be less commercial, so in terms of intensity, it's going to be less overall traffic. You know, if this was to be all commercial on that bottom floor, commercial typically has more traffic than an apartment unit, which, you know, you're looking at, you know, less trips in and out for, you know, per housing unit versus per square foot of commercial. So typically we look at that from that standpoint. Parking overall, like I said, yeah, they'll have to follow code. Right now, I think our parking standards are pretty high in terms of our base right now. It may not be in agreement with everybody, but overall, when we're looking at other cities, we found that ours are higher than other cities.
Any further comments? Mr. Weigel, please.
I'll make a comment, then I'll make a motion. Mr. Krausnick obviously wanted to speak on 2 items, so he provided me with his letter, so I'm just going to paraphrase real quick. Mr. Krausnick essentially says he's worried about the increased density, so he has multiple concerns about that. He has spoke with some residents in the neighborhood who also have questions and maybe some concerns about some of these things. He's in favor of property rights, as it's one of the most valuable assets that somebody can have. Some of the concerns he might have would be some of the traffic and roadways and being able to accommodate the development. And so just wanted to share that with the group. But with that, I will make a motion to approve.
I think we got a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second from Ms. O. Motion from Vice President Weigel, second from Mr. Friedolfs. I do think we talk about property rights a lot. I do think we have to keep in mind that the owner of the property also has property rights within reason, certainly on the impacts that it's going to have around it. So we do need to consider that sometimes as we review projects such as this. This one was a PUD from many, many years ago. It's had a lot of different options thought about on it in the past. Is that true, Mr. Brooks?
Yeah, Mayor, this whole area, just some quick background, if I might, is we worked with the neighborhood about 10 years ago. This 49th was going to continue through this property when they were looking at purchasing this for the grocery store. That neighborhood was very concerned about that traffic cutting through, and so hopefully you can see my screen here, but this 49th was hammerheaded here, so it did not go through into the development. At that time as well, they put in a buffer of townhomes along this stretch to help with the transition from that commercial to those existing single family. And at that time, they were looking at a large mixed-use building here. And then for phase 3, this is a future grocery store in this location. So, and of course, you have lots out here. We like the access out to Washington for all those commercial aspects, as well as 47th up here. Here's that gas station here, the former Valley Dairy, now PetroServe, is located here. So in terms of proximity to all those things and separation, this has been part of that 10-year plan. So I just want to give that context. I think a lot of folks weren't around for a lot of what they've been trying to do in terms of buffer the existing neighborhood as well.
I hope they take care of the trash. There's quite a bit of trash on that property right now. I've seen, it says there's a no dumping sign, but it seems to blow in there.
Yeah, that certainly does happen.
So hopefully that'll be taken care of at a minimum.
I will let them know.
All right. All right, we got a motion and a second. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries with Osowski dissenting. Is that correct, Mr. Gosted, as our 3/4 requirement there?
It meets the 3/4 requirement.
Okay, thank you. That is it for action items. Move on to item 6, information items.
6.1 is your investment portfolio management summary as of May 31st.
Thank you. Item 7, approval of minutes and bills.
And 7.1, vendor list and engineer's estimate, that's attached.
All right, do we got a motion to approve paying the bills? Anybody we don't want to pay? We got a motion from Vice President Weigel. Is that a second, Ms. Berg?
Yep.
Okay, we got a motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
7.2, minutes from June 2nd.
All right, do we got a motion as is, or any changes from council?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved from Berg, second from Friedolfs. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item 8, citizen comments of a general nature. Any comments tonight, Ms.
Don't
Lundmark?
have any.
All right, number 9, city administrator comments. Mr. Phelan.
2 items for next week's Committee of the Whole. We'll have an update on the Red River Valley Water Supply Project. As you know, we've hired a specialty attorney that will be here to brief some of the legal subject matter that we've been working on regarding the partnership agreement. We'll also have our technical experts that have been assisting us with some of the technical documents and ultimately what the city should propose and recommend to you as City Council regarding that project from a water supply perspective. So they'll be here to provide a briefing. Also on Thursday, we're going to open the Ultra Sports Complex. Remember, we had a second series of bids. Those come in on Thursday. And so at the City Council meeting on Monday at the COW, we'll give you an update. And then we'll have a couple more weeks to review those further for the City Council meeting that will occur after the July 4th holiday. And so those things are winding up. Hopefully, we can tell you some preliminary good news next week, Monday, with some more final details coming in July. So those are 2 big items that are coming your way.
All right, keep the good news coming, Mr. Phelan. With that, we got item 10, mayor and council member comments. Ms. Osowski, any comments this evening?
Yeah, this Saturday at the farmer's market, they'll celebrate World Refugee Day. So they usually have singing and other things, just kind of celebrating all the refugees in our community. So hopefully people show up to that. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Berg, any comments?
Yes, tomorrow at 5 o'clock, Tricia Lunsky and I will be co-hosting a award meeting at Phoenix Elementary School. If you're not there right at 5, please still come. Use door 1 to enter.
All right, I hope that's busting at the seams, so. Todd, you gonna be there? All right, Todd loves those things. All right, well, Ms. Lunsky, do you have any comments?
Just to add that 5:15, Meredith is going to give a short presentation of the water treatment facility options. And at 5:30, we're going to have a dance-off, so.
Well, the two of you are having a dance-off. Your only competition's a pregnant woman? All right. I see how this works. All right, Mr. Friedhoff, you got to beat that.
No, I'm not even going to try.
All right. Mr. Veen, any comments this evening?
Nothing additional, thank you.
All right, as our highest-ranking council member, Mr. Weigel.
I'm going to put my money on the dance-off on Miss Berg, so.
Oh, wow. We may need to have a doctor there as well in case. Anyway, with that, I don't have any comments, and I just want to thank everyone for the spirited discussion and keep moving the city forward, and good talk on the budget as well, but definitely more to come. So thank you, Marine Storrs, all departments, and your department as well for getting the work done to this point. So with that, I look for a motion to adjourn.
adjournment.
Motion for Ms. Osowski. Do we have a second there? Sometimes it happens so fast. Ms. Berg, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.